Without further ado, let me bring in legendary defensive back, Mr. Curtis Deloatch. Curtis.
Kurt.
Hey,
There he is.
Yeah, unmute yourself.
Hey, what's up, fellas?
Hey, how you doing, man?
There he is.
Good, man.
So you're in the trophy room, huh? You got.
Yeah, I'm in the basement, man. I'm in the basement.
Good deal. First of all, thank you so much for coming on, man. We really appreciate you taking the time out. We just want to take a quick trip down memory lane. We close to a new football season, and like we were talking about before, we got a lot of position battles. We got some new cornerbacks in here. Last year, our secondary was getting exposed, and Coach Washington, he's a defensive back by nature. He brought in some reinforcements. We got a couple of new guys and kind of shoring up that area. One of our new guys is a guy named Karan Prunty. He's a transfer from Kansas, and he's a long guy. And he kind of, I can't say I ain't seen him play yet with live bullets, but his frame kind of reminds me of you. You were 6'2", 6'3". You were a tall defensive back. Man, just tell me how is it being that long and rangy playing in the cornerback position? Because that's usually not something. Yeah. When you were there, you kind of were trying to change the game by your size, right?
Yeah. It was crazy, man. Because when I came in, Coach Hart was, I don't know, 5'8". And so he was like, yo, like, you play safety or corner? I was like, corner. And he was like, okay. But at that time, there was no tall corners at all. Like, there were none.
Right. In college football, really? Yeah. Yeah.
When I started doing it more and more, and he was like, man, you very athletic, and I always had quick feet because I wasn't always this tall. See, I didn't get tall till late. Like, I didn't get tall till like going into my junior year. I was just always short and quick. So as I got tall, I never really lost that quickness, So, I mean, I don't think nobody knew that I would play DB, but at the same time, you had, what's your guy down at Bethune? Rasheem Mathis was tall.
Yeah.
He was at safety. So he was at safety, but then when he got to the league, he went to corner. Yeah. So and then it was me, Rasheem Mathis, the kid from Boston, Lenny, I think it was like Lenny Walls or somebody like that. So like that era started turning with tall corners, man. So I mean, I'm glad it worked out. So.
But see, now that's what everybody want, like that whole Legion of Boom.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? I'm gonna tell you something. I feel like we were the Legion of Boom before that because you had me. Listen, you had me at 6'3", Horton at 6'2". You had J Mac, you had Eddie Ravenel, you had Montreal Pittman. Like, to me, that was the best secondary to ever come through A&T. That's just my opinion. Like, that just well, and then I mean, God rest his soul. You had Charles Harper that came in there.
Yeah.
I mean, we had some people back there in the secondary, man. We really did.
And so, okay, let's separate fact from fiction because I was doing some research and I don't know what's urban legend, what's real. So what I saw is that you actually came to A&T, you were a walk-on, but when you came to A&T, you didn't have a scholarship, you didn't have a dorm, you didn't have classes. You just came.
You just showed up.
So like my senior year was over, graduated high school, man. And my granddad was like, "Where you going? What you gonna do?" I said, "I'm gonna go work at the shipyard." There's a place in Newport News, Virginia, called the Shipyard. That's where my granddad worked at. I said, "That's where I'm going." He was like, "Nah, that ain't happening." He said, "You better pick a school somewhere in North Carolina." So I remember all my friends was like, "Well, I'm going to A&T." I said, "Well, let's go to A&T." We literally drove to A&T, went to the admissions office, walked in there. He was like, "I want my son to go to school." They was like, "You got any paperwork or anything?" He's like, all I have is his test score. I didn't have a transcript. They said, all we have is his test scores. So the ladies was back there whispering and huddling up, and the lady was like, "I don't know, because these test scores ain't." So the lady came out back, promise you, and I think she pulled my granddad's bluff. She was like, "If you can play his first semester tuition, we'll accept him today." And this was back, I don't know if y'all remember, behind the stadium was a Wachovia back there behind the
Yes,
He went to Wachovia and got a check and came back and was like, "Give my son a room." I had nothing. Man. I went to Cooper Hall, walked on Cooper Hall, and back then in '99, Cooper Hall is not the Cooper Hall now.
No.
I got a dorm room. I had no classes, so the first day of classes, I had to go back to the admissions office. They gave me classes that day, and it was crazy. Like crazy, man. Like my grandma gonna give me $50 and said, "Don't let me down." And that was it.
$50, don't let me down.
So okay, so you had to be a little bit nervous, scared, or whatever, and I guess at some point you make your way to the football office and like I want to try out for the football team.
You know what? It didn't happen that way. So we had a running back named Detron Powell that was very good. He was getting recruited by A&T. He went to A&T and he ended up like dropping out in like September, right? So I was walking across campus one day and Wayne Hicks saw me. Coach Wayne Hicks saw me and was like, "Hey, I know you." And I'm like, "What's up?" He was like, "Where you play football at?" I said, "Hereford County." He was like, what was your football number? And I was like 17, left it alone. He comes to my class the next day and pulls me out of class. I'm like, "Hey, spring tryouts, we want you to come out." And I remember walking out there, I had no cleats. And I remember Ahmad Blankney, Booker T, they was clowning me. It was like, "Yo, who this dude with these big shoes on?" And like literally, we ran like some sprints or something, man. And Coach Hayes like, "Hey, man, hey, come here. He's like, "What's your name?" I told him like Curtis Deloatch. He was like, I like you. So like Coach Hayes, if it wasn't for like Wayne Hicks going to Coach Hayes, literally going to Coach Hayes and Coach Hayes just giving me an opportunity, man. Like I don't know what he saw in me because I didn't really do nothing in practice, like in the tryouts. I just ran fast. That was it, and whatever. And then he just gave me the opportunity, and then the rest just kind of took off from there, man. Like I mean, it seems like I always had an opportunity because when I was on the team, I didn't play until Chris Caldwell got hurt, and we had no other punt returner but him. There was the only punt returner. So Coach Hart was like, "Go back there and return punts." I said, "Man, I can't." I said, "All right, cool." So I'm returning punts in practice, and it was the first night game in A&T history against Norfolk State. And I went back there, and Coach Hart said, "Everything they punt to you, you catch and return it." And like the first punt return I got, I think I returned like 60 yards. They called it back. Then I returned it again like 50. And then got tackled, and everybody was like, Chris Deloatch. I guess they used to saying Chris Caldwell. So after that, I ain't really played DB until we played Hampton. I ended up getting an interception, and it was just kind of like, you know what, we got to find a way to get this kid on the field. So, I mean, thankful for Coach Hayes, man.
And so this was the year 2000, right? So you got there in '99, and I guess you just kind of redshirted and tried out 2000. Yeah. You got on the field. And did Coach Hayes ever, Wayne Hicks, your defense coordinator, did they consider you playing you as like a safety? Like, were you always going to be that cornerback?
Always. You know, the only position they tried to change me to was a receiver.
Yeah, I know. Listen, I show up, you know, of course, by this time, Deloatch is Deloatch, right? He's Deloatch. So I'm like, well, we got defense squared away, you know, Coach. Yeah. I'm getting recruited. Coach, we're going to change the offense. We're going to do this and that. We're going to start throwing it around. Now, I ain't believing Coach Hayes. Anyway, I sign. I show up to spring game or spring practice. I'm ready to hang out. I'm asking for, playbook. I look up. Curtis Deloatch is coming in motion, getting jet sweeps and catching passes. I'm like, Coach, is something we got to talk about? Like, you didn't tell me the man was going to be playing both ways on offense, but it was short-lived. Luckily, it may have been because Coach Gerber got gone. Hey, luckily, he went on back to the other side of the ball. Right?
Hey, we was playing. It was short-lived. We played South Carolina State. They was like, "All right, we'll give you a jet sweep." I was like, "All right, cool." Man, I got the handoff. I came around that corner, and that DN lit me up, and I fumbled. Coach Hayes was like, "Put him back on the other
side." Hey, so look here. 2000 though, you came in there. And you made some plays because you were the MEAC Rookie of the Year 2000. Yeah. And I think you give me some stats. You remember your stats back then? You had how many interceptions that year?
I think it was 2. It was like 2 interceptions. I had like 3 block kicks. I had like a couple of touchdowns. And I think what was happening, it was like I always made a big play in a big moment. That's what was crazy. Yeah. It was always like, okay, we needed an interception. I just happened to get an interception. And I think what broke out, we played FAMU at FAMU in 2000, and we needed a big play. And they punted the ball, and I scooped it up and ran. And I don't know why I didn't score. I got tackled by the punter. But anyway.
Man. Oh, no.
I got all the way down to like the 20-yard line and everything. And then we end up going ahead and winning. And I ended up blocking the kick that game. And I think that's what kind of sealed the deal for me in that year, because I ended up blocking the kick to tie it up. So,
and see, people who don't remember watching Deloatch in action, this is going to sound crazy, but the comp I always had was Randy Moss, because you guys were tall and y'all had the same type of stride. It don't look like you running fast. Like it never looked like you was running hard, but you were always distancing yourself from people. They could not catch up.
They used to call me Cadillac, man. I don't know why. They used to call me Cadillac, man. They like, you like a Cadillac.
Clips.
He gone, man. I was like, hey, I have no idea, man. That stride, man, something different, man.
And so you MEAC Rookie of the Year, and 2001 was really your coming out party, because that's when you just start putting up crazy stats, man. Yeah. First team, 1AA. This wasn't FCS back then. It was 1AA. You was first team All-American.
Yeah.
Right. And I want to say you had 5 punt returns that season. You set the NCAA record. Yeah. 5 punt returns for touchdowns.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. You were also the MVP of the Peach State Classic when we went to Atlanta and played Jackson State. And all those people who love Coach Prime understand that A&T is 3-0. We have never lost to Jackson State. The first time we played them was in Atlanta, and Curtis Deloatch, this guy right here, he not only did he return the punt, I think it was the first punt in the game, 70 yards. He also had a 61-yard interception return. So you were the MVP of that game, and you're talking about this is like I say, this is part of that golden era of HBCU football. There was so much, especially as a fan on the internet, there was so much back and forth with the MEAC and the SWAC, and for two teams like that to meet up in a neutral site, and for us to prevail.
Jackson State was loaded in. They were loaded in.
They had Robert Kent.
Receiver.
I think they had 3 receivers that was over 6'4".
Yep. Yeah.
They had what was the quarterback name that was real good?
Robert Kent.
Yep.
So I remember going into that game, man. Like, that's why I said between me, Horton, and McCord, they didn't catch nothing. Like, they didn't catch nothing. I'm telling you, they didn't catch anything that game. But Coach Hicks did a good job with the game plan, man. Like, he put a game plan together, and we played. People don't know this either. When we was there, we didn't play zone. I don't even think we played man-to-man press every single play when we was there. Every single play that year. Every single play, man. And you know what was crazy about that game, though? That was the game Hicks got hurt.
That was the Mo Hicks game, yeah.
That was his last game at A&T.
And Coach Hayes came in the locker room and said, somebody else got to win this game and everything. And I remember Mo Smith walked up to me, because I think Mo Smith was with the Falcons then, I think.
Yep. He was in Atlanta.
He walked up to me. He said, look, I know you got your little spattered up Jordans on out there. But if you want people to remember you, you got to make some plays out here. And I was like, I play defense. You know, in my mind, I'm thinking I play defense, but my idol growing up was always Dion. Like, I don't know, like every interception I got, I try to return it for a touchdown. It didn't matter where I was at on the field. And at that time, it still didn't dawn on me like the things that I was accomplishing. It still didn't really like dawn on me what I was accomplished at that time in my career at all. Was not,
So 2001, man, we that's when Hicks got hurt. And Craig, I swear, that's one of those teams I would have loved to see in the playoffs because
that
was when Hayes kind of opened up the offense a little bit. So we had Hicks who was hitting those home runs. Yeah. But I think, who was it? Damian Phillips was quarterback at the time?
I think it was D Fields. It was between D Fields and I think they were switching back and forth. I can't remember who the other, but D Fields.
Right. And Jason Battle was there. He was in Battle, so he was still there, I think. But we our offense was scoring a lot of points. I think we put like 80 points or 70 some points on Howard.
Hampton. No,
he's right. Before halftime.
It was Howard. It was like 60-something to 0 at halftime.
Right. It was crazy. I mean,
that game's on YouTube.
We were beating the brakes off of folks. And when Hicks got hurt, it's kind of threw us back. I think we still had who was my guy? Michelle Hollingsworth was the running back.
Michelle. Do y'all even know the Maurice Hicks story though? Like, do y'all really know his story, how he came about?
Tell us, share it.
So Hicks came up, he was a transfer, right? Came in.
Right.
He was in there lifting weights. He couldn't do 225 3 times. No lie. We was in practice and he was killing the defense in practice. So Coach Hicks was like, I don't know what y'all looking at, but that's our star running back right there. Like Hicks didn't start playing till like the 3rd or 4th game of the year.
The Morgan State game, he had that 70-yarder. Yeah, you're right.
Dude, I was like, yo, I don't know who this guy is. I have never seen a running back that every time he touched the ball, it looked like he was going to hit his head on the goalpost. I've never seen that. Every single time he touched the ball, I thought he was going to score. Every single time, man.
Okay, so
that's what BJ Little said. Isn't that what BJ brought up? How he gave him the work in practice?
Okay, so real quick, this is all about you. But since you brought this up, do you remember the Morgan State game where he had the 432 yards in one game? And it was like every time he had a handoff, it was 80 yards.
Yes, man, dude, it was ridiculous, man. It was. I've never seen nothing like that, never. And we still lost that game. But anyway,
yeah. So look here. So Curtis, at this time, you kind of like building a national name for yourself. You know, first team All-American. Everybody's putting you on their draft board, right? Finish up. You have some good seasons. Before we go to your NFL career, tell me, as far as that MEAC competition, who were some of the toughest receivers that you had to go against? Because you had like Zuriel Smith against you at Hampton. Yeah. Who was the kid at Bethune-Cookman? You had some guys who lined up against you with some super guys.
You know, I would say probably Zuriel Smith from Hampton. Yeah. And that's because he was a savvy route runner. Like, he wasn't fast, he wasn't pretty, but he would him and his quarterback just clicked. He was a savvy route runner. I give him, he was unorthodox, little puny, skinny guy. Probably like Robert Anderson out there right now, but I mean, like, I would say him. I can't think of this kid's name, man. At Delaware State, man, he looked like Shannon Sharp playing receiver. Yo, what was his name? Yo?
He ended up playing in the league.
McCants.
He was a big swole dude, man. I'm a dude, and I for some reason I could not get around him, man. Like, every time he was the ball, I could not tackle him, man. And him, I'm trying to think who else, man. You know, the tight end for Morgan State, for some reason they put me on him. Visante Shanko.
Oh yeah. He went to the league too, right?
Yeah, I played with him with the Giants. We was teammates. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
We was teammates, man. We was teammates. Yeah.
Okay, so Doug dropped off. We could bring him back in there. So, but listen, you had a storied career at A&T, and you played through 9/11, right? Didn't 2001? Y'all had a game that year, and then
a game. Man. You know what's crazy about 9/11, man? I was in Cooper Hall. And my classes was right next door at Price, right next door at Smith. And I was walking into, and we used to have a TV right there in the middle. And I seen everybody looking up at the TV screen. And at that time, you know, I was young. I really didn't know what was going on in the world. And I was like, what's going on there? Somebody hit the Twin Towers. And I was like, honestly, I was just like, oh, okay. And it didn't dawn on me till we got to practice.
Exactly what that meant.
And they started talking about it. And I'm sitting there like, are you serious? They cancel practice, everything. They cancel practice and everything, man. And it's crazy, man, how that happened at that moment in time. And I was so young, and honestly, I didn't really know what was going on in the world, how they would actually impact the football season and everybody's lives. And it didn't, man. It really didn't. I really didn't even think.
Y'all was supposed to play Delaware State that week, and so they rescheduled it to the end of the season. Yeah, and then you end up, I think, returning a punt back for a touchdown in that game, right?
Yeah, twice. Yeah. That was I broke the record. I didn't even know it was a record, right? I didn't even know it was a record at that time. Yeah, I didn't even know.
Wow. So, and it's funny because you talk about 9/11, but you played through two historic events when you got to the NFL. So you were free agent acquisition by the Giants, and they made that roster, played there for a couple of years. Beat my Cowboys one year. I think you had an interception I was mad about in the middle of the field. So that was one of your NFL picks was against the Cowboys. Then you get Doug back in here.
Yeah.
Then so we talk about this NFL now. So then you go to New Orleans, right? And this was right after Katrina.
Yeah.
And as we know, I was in Houston when Katrina happened. So I remember the buses of people coming in from the Superdome, and they were being housed at the time in the old Astrodome.
Yeah.
And so people don't understand, but it's almost like somebody dropped a bomb on the city of New Orleans. That's how devastated it was.
Man, let me tell you something, man. That it was funny. We was talking about 9/11, but to talk about this, anybody I talked to, that there changed my life and perspective on everything. Seeing what I saw, everything, because I was in training camp with the Giants. They was trying to trade me. It was like a 3-team trade between Cleveland, the Giants, and Baltimore, and it didn't happen. I was on a plane flying to Raleigh because it was like in the training camp. We got like a couple of days off. Landed. The coach called me and was like, Coach Coughlin was like, Curtis, couldn't trade you. Sorry, we'll have to release you, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Hung up, phone rang. It's the Saints telling me they got a flight for me. We coming down there. I was like, man, I don't want to go to no sorry New Orleans. I'm going to go down there. That was my mindset. I get to New Orleans. It was dark. And they put me in a hotel room. When I woke up that next morning and I went there and what I saw, I was like, I was literally scared. I ain't gonna lie to you. I was scared because I had never seen anything like that. Went to practice, and then throughout the season, we would go to people's houses, help them clean up and everything. Walk in people's houses and see the water line at the top of the ceiling, to see like the X's and the numbers and everything, and just hearing some of the people's stories. And I tell people this story all the time. It was a guy that we met who was helping him clean his house. It was him, his wife, and 3 children. They went up to the attic, and the water came in and knocked them off one of the beams in the attic. And he was able to pull himself back up and put his wife up there and his kids up there. He was holding on. His wife slips, and she says, let me go and hold on to the kids. I catch on to the next beam. He never saw her again. Never saw her again. Never saw her again. And I mean, if that didn't impact people's lives, just to see that people literally lost everything. I mean, you had people houses 2 blocks down the road, man. And that's why I'm so glad I was be a part of that history, that 2006 year, because the city of New Orleans needed that. They really needed it after that 2005 Hurricane Katrina, man. They really did.
You talk about driving through town and you see those X's on the houses, and that was to identify if there's any bodies.
Yeah.
That were stuck in the house that they couldn't get to, and they would just have to put a marker.
Yes.
And you're seeing that in real. This is not something like you watching on a documentary. You are seeing this in real time.
Real time. This is real time. This is literally real. I mean, in some of the houses we couldn't get into because there was so much like mud and debris behind the door. Like they would have to like climb through the windows and stuff. It was another young lady who lived in, I don't know, maybe somewhere in the Midwest. She was from New Orleans, and her parents called her and was like, look, don't worry about us. We lived our lives, take care of our grandbabies. When they found them, they were in the bed together, holding hands, and had passed away. They drowned and everything. And they were still in the bed, holding hands when they found them, man. So, I mean, that's why, I don't know, man, I just take so much pride in my family and try to spend as much time as I can with my family, man. My granddaddy told me, he said, you get 18 summers with your children, 18 summers. And at the time,
really?
And people don't realize when they get about 15, 16, it's kind of like, hey, Dad, I'm gone. But you get 18 summers with children, because that's the only time they're not in school. You can kind of vacation stuff, man. So I take pride in that. My granddad told me that. So,
and it's talking about, when you talk about those people that you encounter in the community in New Orleans, and how a lot of them didn't want to leave because that was their home, and home means something to folks out in that area. And the Saints, that New Orleans Saints football meant something to them, and for you guys to, come back that season, and you won a Super Bowl, right? You guys went to the Super Bowl.
Well, so that year we was one game from we went to the NFC Championship game.
Right.
We ended up losing to the Bears, where the Bears ended up playing the coach that year. Yeah.
Right. But that was the year that returned back to Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and it was symbolic for the city to reopen again. And it's funny, you played in that first game back, but you just didn't play in there. You might have had the most significant piece of history in that game. You and Steve Gleason, and everybody at around sports, they looked at the block, but A&T fans, we focused on the recovery because that was our guy. And I think I got video of the whole tight. I think I got video.
Anderson is here for most field goals. Look out! Right through! A kick block by Steve Gleason. It is scooped and scored by Curtis Deloatch. Touchdown, New Orleans!
Oh, man.
And so we looked at that dunk, and Doug, tell me, that brother got up because I tried grabbing the goalpost before. That's about 10 feet.
Oh, it's up there. It's up there.
Oh man, it made it look easy, man. We ain't surprised. We seen that before practice, Loach messing around in the gym. But man, I'm telling you, that was such a special moment. I know where I was when I was sitting there watching TV. I know my exact spot. I know what the emotions were. Point, you're just looking on TV trying to see the guy. You're like, man, where you're looking for the number, you're looking for Cadillac out there, and I see him on the edge, and to see him recover that ball, man, I don't know if I'll ever jump and scream so loud at the TV. And if it didn't for him to pick it up and like I said, dunk it on the goalpost, that was. And I don't know a Aggie or anybody from your era or from our era that doesn't feel special about that moment, man. I can honestly say, man, that was one of the best moments that we can remember, man. But
man, I'm gonna tell you something, man. It's crazy, man, that my whole career through high school and everything, man, that stuff like that just seems to happen. Y'all don't even know, man. I wasn't even supposed to be out there on that play. That's the craziest thing about it, yo. Like they had 10 guys on the field, and they were like, "We need one more person." And I literally just ran out there, didn't know what to do. If you watch the tape closely, I didn't know where to line up, and I took off late. Like I didn't take off when everybody else took off. I had no idea what to do, none of that. And it's crazy. I wasn't even supposed to be out there on that play at all. At all, I wasn't supposed to be out there at all. Crazy, man.
That's
it does, like you say, that you ever see that meme where it's what's the guy's name? What's the guy who plays in Titanic? What's the dude's name? The actor.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah, so he's like pointing at the screen like he recognizes something. That's how I was when I saw that. I was like, that's Curtis Deloatch. When I was watching that live on Monday Night Football, and I was like DiCaprio this point, like I recognize that dude. And when you called it and then dunked, I was like, yeah, that's him. that's Deloatch, man. Yeah, but man. And like I was telling Jason, man, stuff like that, they can never take away from you. That's going to live in people's minds forever. As long as they talk about football, they're going to remember that. That's one of those plays, man. And oh, man, as an Aggie, it made us proud. It's like another extension of Aggie greatness.
Yeah. I mean, you know what, man? It's crazy because back then, there weren't that many HBCU players in the league.
Like that. Right.
Mm-hmm. It really wasn't, and I used to talk so much junk when I was on. I used to always tell people, man, we would have whooped y'all. I remember when I was with the Giants, man, and they had Shockey and Joseph and all them boys from Miami. I said, man, we would have whooped y'all back in 2001, knowing in my mind that we would have played them. Knowing in my mind, because you know what? I don't think y'all know this. We had a chance to play them. I don't know, Doug. I don't know if you was there, Doug. It was between Portland State, the University of Miami, and somebody else. And Coach Hayes, we was gonna play the University of Miami. Coach Hayes was like, hell no, excuse my language. It was like 2000. I think either 2000, 2001, one of those years.
It was 2002. It was 2002.
Yeah, we had opportunity to play them. Yeah, and I was like, thank God we didn't. I don't know who they had on 2002 team though, but at that time, because I tell people all the time, the difference, honestly, is not the skill players, it's the lineman. That's the only difference. And the quarterback play, I give you that. But as far as the skill position, man, it ain't too much of a difference, man. And I didn't know that until I got in the NFL and I really saw it. And I was like, because at first when I got there, I was like, can I play with these guys? And then when I got there, I was like, I mean, they ain't really no better than guys I played with at A&T. They're just on a bigger platform. Yeah. They're just on a bigger platform, man. And I think about it all the time, man. I like Doug. If we would have ever had an opportunity to play in the Celebration Bowl back then, 99, 2000, 2001, you would have had so many guys getting an opportunity on the next level. I'm telling you.
Kurt, anytime he showed up in the Georgia Dome, I think he caught one. What would have been your junior year, he caught one. I think that was the defense had 5 picks against South Carolina State in that last game that JB's last defense. Did they? Pittman had a pick. Horton had a pick. Loach had a pick. Boy had a pick, and Ravenel had a pick. Those five guys he named on defense was shutting them boys down. And South Carolina State was talented then too. And when you show, anytime you got the big stadium, man, we know, like you said, you was a playmaker. If nothing else, you're gonna make a play. And guys look to you like that, man. It's one thing to make plays. It's another thing to have guys that are former players like Mo Smith coming up to you, say, "Hey, make a play." And guys on the team looking at you like, "Man, we need those to make a play." And to come through and those are the guys that are special, man. And you were that kind of guy. And even when you went on and when playing the league, you were the guy that came back. You were visible. You still led guys. You know, you came back in the caddy. He went and got him a Cadillac. I think he went and got him. Came back for the Escalade. He was really back then, but it was for guys who, you know, didn't know many guys that played in the NFL, you know, from our area. To be able to see Curtis and touch Curtis and talk to Curtis and him to be active and still be involved with his, not only the team, but his frat brothers. I mean, he was one of those guys that was larger than life on campus, you know. He was a superstar. He was a celebrity on campus, not only from what he did in undergrad, but, you know, the plays he was starting to make in the NFL. So, man, you were just one of those guys that passed the torch on, you know, especially from the 99 guys. You kind of had Mo in that era, and then they passed it on to you, and you did everything you could to pass it on to the next generation, man. And to this day, I still try to link Kirk up. I tell guys about Curtis Deloatch all the time. If you were 6'1" plus, I'm telling you, man, you need to go look up Curtis Deloatch. You need to find this.
That's what I brought up Prunty. I said Prunty reminds a little bit. He got that. We gonna see if he can live up to the hype, but he's long and rangy. All right, hey, Craig, real quick though, give me your number one Curtis Deloatch memory, because you was front center for a lot.
Ooh, that's a bunch. I'm kind of like I kind of go with what Kurt said earlier, but the Florida A&M game. I think that's when he caught my attention. Just making plays, the block hits, you know, the punt return. He was a game changer, and that's the thing that made him so valuable and so fun to watch. Was he made plays? I mean, when you needed a big play, he would come up. He would come up. I think it was the two punt returns you had against Delaware State.
Yeah,
it was so funny because we were sitting in the stands. We saw with after the first we said, ain't no way in the hell they're gonna get the ball back to him again.
They did it.
They can't be that damn stupid to get the ball to him again. And what did he do? Next punt.
And listen, because, you know, personally, I was a huge Chris Caldwell fan. CC, my guy. He and his brother and I were best friends, you know, and I grew up and he's a huge reason I came to A&T because I followed him. You know, he played receiver, taught me everything I know. So punt returner, that's my guy. So when CC got hurt and, you know, I see this tall joker back, I'm like, this guy returning punts, you know, supposed to be a little scat guy, a little quick guy. Yeah. Man, I Cadillac back then. I can't even remember what team we're playing. It wasn't a punt return you took to the house. It may have been Bethune at homecoming in 2000. And Kurt broke like 10 tackles in like a 20-foot space, just shedding guys off of him. And it was like, I think he fielded the ball inside his own 10 or something, and just start shedding guys. I'm like, damn, they can't tackle this guy. And then on defense, you know, Kurt would bait you. You know, he was fast enough. He could faster than you and could run past you. But as a quarterback, man, guys, he can't get to it. You can't go deep on him, because if you go deep on him, he's going to run beside you on the post. And when the ball's in the air, you're not going to out-jump him. And so, again, like you said, once he got the ball in his hand, he's trying to go the other way. Just like on special teams, we had guys that was looking to get Kurt in the box. Once they realized he had that.
Oh yeah. Dude, I'm going to tell you something. It was crazy that on punt return, I'm talking about guys actually took pride in blocking. Like, no lie. Like, they actually took pride in blocking. I mean, and it's crazy, man, how that was back in like 2000, 2001. And then when I got to the NFL and we would watch film on Devin Hester, and the coach would tell us that the guys on punt return take pride in blocking for Devin Hester. And I'm like, dude, we was doing that back in college. Y'all talking about this in the NFL. We was doing that. I mean, they were setting walls up. We had special returns and everything, man. It's amazing the stuff that coaches was teaching us back then that they just now starting to do now in the NFL, man. So people really don't give HBCUs the credit they do. Now they are now,
Yeah.
And I think, with celebrity like Dion coming in place, he's kind of putting eyes on A&T. And then A&T had that great run. What was it, like 2015, 16, 17, 18?
Yeah. 4 out of 5.
Yeah,
4 out of 5. Yep.
Yeah, crazy, man. Crazy.
So my favorite moment, and this is I don't know if you remember this one, but this is 2003. It's because you guys won a MEAC championship that year also. And this was when y'all went to Morgan State and they tried you on like a double move or something. Yeah, and you made I've been looking all day. It used to be on the internet. I got a VHS tape in my library, but this is the highlight I was trying to show tonight. I couldn't find it in time. But you did like a Michael Jordan, like the actual Michael Jordan logo move. Jumped over like 2 people, extended your hand and picked it over your head, and it was the most incredible. Do you remember that play?
Yeah, yeah.
And that was against Morgan State.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you, I think it was at Morgan State. I think
it was at Morgan State. Yeah.
Let me tell you what's crazy. You bring that up. My little brother sent it to me on Instagram, and I said, "How did you find that?" He was like, "It was on Facebook somewhere." He literally just sent it to me like 2 weeks ago.
Man, I will never forget that. That was the most athletic interception I've ever seen an A&T player make. And this like you, I think you had just played Q, so you were big. You like 6. You like
Q, all the Qs, all of them was at the game.
Right, but you were heavy though. You were about what 225, 230 almost, right?
So let me tell you what was crazy. So coming into my senior year, they was like, "Yo, you probably gonna go to safety, so you need to get on the weight." So I was lifting weights and taking creatine and all this stuff, right? And I think we went on the scale, and it was like 220. I was like, "Coach, I can't play at 220," but I literally played at like 215, 220 my senior year. And still was able to move the way I did. But when the scouts came in, they said, "You need to lose that like now." So I went from like 220 to like 203, like before I went to training camp. Okay. Yeah. They're like, "You gotta use that because if you 220 now, you're gonna be 240 by year 2 or 3 or whatever." Yeah, but it was crazy, man. Yep.
Well, look here, man. We can talk all night about your highlight, and we can like say all these guys from that era. Doug, we just gonna have to find some time to bring them back. Cause there's like so many layers to these stories. Like we're just tipping the iceberg right now. We got to get into all those crazy Bill Hayes stories. I need to find out some Doug Brown stories.
Hey, hold on. Look, okay, let me say this one story, man, because I was listening when Jason Battle was talking. Right, look.
All right.
Well, I wish me and JB could have got up there together, man. So look, this was my freshman year, 2000. We was playing at Hampton. Get there, you get off the bus. They had everybody key card on the table. You grab your key card, go to your room. I get there, I'm like, I said, "Hey, coach, I ain't got no key card." He said, "You better find somewhere to sleep." I'm like, "What?" What? So I go to Udi, Ahmad Blakeney and Booker T room. I said, "Yo, I need to sleep." They was like, "Man, nah, we got some girls coming on." I was like, "Oh." So it's starting to get late. So I literally went to Coach Hayes' room, knocked on the door. Coach Hayes come to the door, man. He got on tighty whities. He that t-shirt tucked in, got his gold chain on. He said, "What the hell you want, son?" I said, "Coach, I don't have nowhere to sleep." He was like, "Huh?" I said, "I don't have nowhere to sleep." He said, "Man, get your ass over there on the couch." So I literally slept in the room with Coach Hayes, man. He's sitting in the hotel room smoking a cigarette in his tight whities. I'm sitting there like, and look, we watching the 700 Club. I'm sitting there like because there ain't no cell phones back then. So it was curfew, so I couldn't leave the room. I'm sitting there like, you have got to be kidding me, man. Like I'm really in the room with my head coach. He's sitting here tighty whitey smoking a cigarette watching the 700 Club. Man. Like, I have so many Coach Hayes stories, man, that y'all do not believe. I'm telling y'all, man. Like Coach Hayes is legendary, bro.
Without a doubt.
Greatest.
I got my offer at the old field house. He offered me in a towel smoking a Doral. That's how I got my car. Hey, so hey,
and you know what's crazy? I still talk to Coach Hayes to this day, man.
Oh, a lot of guys do. A lot of guys.
Hey, Coach Hayes to this day, man.
Go ahead, Doug. Yes, sir.
I was gonna tell him. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say actually it comes full circle though because you had your unbelievable career. You went to the NFL, made us all proud. And you came back in Charlotte, settled down, got your family. Got what, 4 kids now?
Yeah, 4. You know what's crazy, man? My daughter is at A&T right now playing volleyball.
That's what I was gonna ask you next. Yeah. So talk about that. And you talk about full circle. Your daughter is she must be a freshman, right?
Yep, freshman. Yep.
She's come in to play for the A&T volleyball team. And she still has those Deloatch genes, so she's gonna be jumping up and spiking the ball in people's faces.
You want to know what's crazy, man? Is that she played travel volleyball and high school volleyball, man. And she has a similar story just like me, man. And we had time next time we get into it, but A&T wasn't even looking at her. They were not looking at her not one time. So we played a tournament in Atlanta. The head coach saw the twins, Darlene.
Yeah, the Mitchell twins.
Yes. Saw them sitting beside us and walked up to us and was like, "Hey, what y'all doing?" They're like, "Oh, we're watching Sanaya." And he was like, "Hey, Curtis, how you doing? Good." And he was like, "That's your daughter?" I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Really?" I was like, "Yeah, that's my daughter." He was like, "Huh?" Thought nothing of it, right? They called us and said, "Hey, we want her to come down here for an unofficial visit." So we went there for a visit. Thought nothing of it. They end up calling her and said, "Hey, we don't have any scholarships available, but we want to offer you an opportunity on our team. You're going to sign. You're going to do everything. Like, this ain't going to be no walk-on. Like, you want to sign a letter of intent and everything. We'll find you some money once you get here." Right? And she still didn't make her decision until we went to a tournament in Philly. And she said, "Dad, I think I know where I want to go." And I was like, "Where?" She was like, A&T. And I was just like, "Oh, okay." And the whole time I'm melting on the inside, right? I'm melting, right? So, I mean, man, they gave her an opportunity. We went there for orientation. Everybody saw me walking around with her, and they was like, "Oh my God, I remember when you was a baby and walking around." Because see, her mother played volleyball there. Her mother played volleyball at A&T. So then they ended up saying, "Well, look, we got to find her some money." So when I tell you, if A&T want to find you some money, they're going to find you some money. I can tell you that right now. They're going to find you something, man. So, I mean, she's excited, man. I'm excited for her, man. I mean, it's crazy because she sent me a picture. There's a picture of her, me holding her. She probably was 1 year old. We're in Moore Gym. We're in Moore Gym at a probate, and I'm holding her in my arms in the middle of Moore Gym. And then there's a picture of her that they took of her in the middle of Moore Gym, and she sent it to me. We was in the middle of Moore Gym. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you something, man. It's crazy, man, that like my baby boy now playing football.
How old is he?
I was running, he's 14. I was running late because they had a scrimmage today. Gotcha. And he's playing DB. He's tall, he's lanky. And I was
man, like, another one.
Another
your kid plays the same position that you play. Like most times you may have a son, he may be a quarterback or running, like he don't play the same position you play, but he literally is playing DB and everything. And I'm sitting there like, this is crazy. Crazy, man. Crazy, man. He wants to go to A&T so bad too. God,
it's a blessing, man. And so you guys in Charlotte, right?
Yeah, I'm in Charlotte. Yep.
Okay,
Charlotte.
Okay.
How all your frat brothers showed up to Morgan State to cheer for you, man. I thought it was so cool that the boys showed up during y'all's conclave to support your kid at the baseball game.
Yeah, man. Yeah. See, like my son played baseball too. So I mean, so I don't know what he likes more. He played baseball too, man. Yeah.
Jason gonna be another Jason Battle, 2 sports stars.
Yeah, man. He played baseball too, man. Yeah, man.
Good deal. Yeah. All right. Well, look, Curtis, we can do this for 2 more hours.
Oh yeah.
Getting us kicked out, man. I don't know if you remember that, man. My vision basketball. Y'all went at the security guard. I don't know what y'all was. They didn't want to stand on the rail, man. We didn't want to stand on the rail. So that
was my fault. That was my fault because I was smelling myself. I was like, shit, I'm deluded. I was like, shit, I said, shit, you know who I am? And they like, get off the rail. I said, man, I'm not thinking about him. And this was Doug's recruit visit.
Right.
I'm looking at the security guard.
So look, I'm sitting on the door. I'm leaning on the door. He opens the door and pushes me out at the same time, and I fly out. And Doug's sitting there stuck like, I guess I get kicked out too. I guess I'll go with him too.
to the playhouse late that night.
Yeah, exactly.
Jeez.
Good
So
time.
you get kicked. Once you get pushed outside those doors, it ain't no coming back in. Them doors don't open from the outside like that.
No, them doors do not open from the outside.
That's good stuff, fellas. Hey, so look, we gonna bring you back on here, Curtis, and talk a lot more about football and really during the season. You know, I don't know what your schedule's like after the games. We're gonna try to do like a little the review of all the A&T games, and maybe from a defensive perspective, you can look at some of the film and tell us what we did right, what we need to do better. You know, you can give your expert opinion on it. Well, you definitely going to be a regular on this show, man, because I love your personality and your stories. Yeah, and like I say, man, the history you guys made, man, it wasn't just for you guys; it was for us too, the fans. Because Craig, it made your life a lot better watching these guys go on those runs and the stuff I just want to let you know the stuff that you did matters, man. It affected a lot of people.
You,
it really did, man. And so I salute you. Can't wait to follow you. The next generation of Deloatches, starting with your daughter.
Yeah, man.
What's her name?
Sanaya.
And she is an Aggie. She's on the yard. She'll be starting off in more gym pretty soon. We're gonna be following her, tracking her, and then you got some other guys, other kids in the pipeline. Coming up. So that's awesome. But definitely take care, man. Tell the family we know we're all supporting you guys, and we will see you next time around, man.
All right, man. I appreciate y'all guys, man. Be safe, man.
All right.
All right, take care, man.